have reached the starting gate. It's post time. Cold front, the favorite steps forward. And they're into the stretch. Cold front put to the deck. Cold front does it again. Firing the field in the Amsterdam.
Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Nicole Russo. It's time for Spa Babies, presented by Spendthrift. And Sunday Spa Baby race kicks off the card and the early pick 5. Let's take a look at this field of New York-bred maiden special weights. 5.5 furlongs. These are 2-year-olds and some pretty talented ones. As we throw up the entry card, Spendthrift, Sally, and Golden Sense figures to have the big favorite. The 8 Miracle Mike acquitted himself very well in his debut.
Absolutely, and coming out of the same race as Andiamo a Firenze, who we'll see in the Sanford on Saturday, give you a bit of an advanced preview of this race. This field is very interesting to me because when we go through the pedigrees, you're going to see Kentucky Derby winner and champion Unbridled in there, deep in a pedigree. You're going to see Triple Crown winner Affirmed in there. There's a lot of horses in here who I can't wait to watch going longer. We talk all the time about how sometimes you see these horses where they're running short, they're running on dirt when maybe they want to be longer distance horses or run on turf in the future. But these are the opportunities that are available right now, and you're going to get your horse the experience, try to move them forward. And man, some of these horses you're going to want to circle and watch down the line.
A horse with some speed in the pedigree is the number 1, Sorpreso. This horse is by Met Mile winner Frosted. Her click's about 10% with 2-year-old first-time starters, but Sorpreso's a half to a couple of stakes place dirt sprinters, and the Dam was a very good sprinter as well. She was a multiple stakes winner.
Yeah, I like how the speed and precocity in this family to back up Frosted, whose development as a stallion has been very interesting. His first crop seemed to take time to mature. His second crop of 2-year-olds last year really came out running. I think perhaps he got more precocious mares and perhaps threw more to the mares in that second book. Now his third crop has also been slower starting. This might be one that I take a wait and see approach with, especially being drawn down on the rail.
Up next is the 2, Jakey from the first crop of Army Mule, who already has a couple of winners. And Army Mule was brilliant. He was a little brittle, but he's gotten some fast runners already. And this is the family of Champion Unbridled, a horse that sold up. $60,000 short yearling, went for $200,000 as a yearling.
Yeah, one of several good results for Army Mule at the yearling sales last year. He was very well received, particularly in the regional marketplaces like New York and Maryland. The Carter winner, he's by Frisian Fire from the AP Indy sire line, and Frisian Fire has developed into a leading sire in Maryland. So perhaps it's not the most famous branch of this AP Indy line, but it's been a very successful one. Tom Albertrani often likes to give these 2-year-olds a race or two.
The 3 is Barry the Builder. Arad Ortiz takes the mount from Rudy Rodriguez, and this is a horse. We've talked about all these young stallions, and they're so exciting. It seems like Always Dreaming, the Kentucky Derby winner's kind of fallen under the radar a little bit. Maybe the Always Dreamings will want a little bit more ground, but this is a versatile pedigree on the bottom.
Absolutely. I think you're right on about Always Dreaming. He did get off the mark with a winner toward the end of the Churchill Downs meet that just concluded. But I ultimately think they will want a little bit more time, a little bit more distance. Consider that Always Dreaming really came to hand that winter of his 3-year-old year. And he's by Bodemeister, of course, another sort of later blooming runner.
Light Man is an interesting horse with a speedy pedigree. His sire, Central Banker, generally does better with older debut runners, but he was a pretty fast sprinter in his own right. This Dam was a juvenile debut winner as well as a stakes-winning dirt sprinter at 2, and this horse has just been working very, very fast. Bruce Levine and Jose Ortiz, past 5 years at Saratoga, 8 for 20 together.
Absolutely. Solid connections for a 2-year-old debuter, and those bullet works really caught my eye. As always, I will encourage you to check out the Clocker reports produced by our colleague Mike Walsh and his team for every day of the Saratoga meet. Especially with these debuting horses, it provides just such valuable insight into not just how fast these horses are working, because of course you can see the bullet there, but into how they're doing it and how these horses are sort of progressing, learning their lessons, switching leads, keeping their path, stuff like that, training into their debuts. We talk quite a bit about some of the Kentucky stallions and big families that are in this race, but this one is a New York pedigree through and through by Central Banker, who's developed into one of the leading young sires in the state over a mare by Freud, who's one of New York's all-time leading sires and just continues to reign supreme down there at Sequel Stallions.
Nice pedigree for the 5. Curly, Larry, and Mo, who has been training at Keeneland. This horse sold for $75,000 in April after breezing a furlong in 10-1. I'm curious to see how the Motowns do as 2-year-olds. He was a pretty interesting young horse that ended up being very strong on the turf as well. Versatile, and as you mentioned earlier, a family of Triple Crown winner affirmed.
Yeah, Motown, another young son of young sire of sire's Uncle Mo. Motown's got just one winner so far, but he's had a couple others on the board and a couple running in stakes company early on in Kentucky. I do think Motown will be okay. He was a good 2-year-old himself, a versatile horse. Another one who's throwing horses that really remind me of the horses that his sire Uncle Mo throws, just good moving athletes. My concern with this runner is that he's got just 5 published works on his work tab compared to the longer work tabs of some of the other first-time starters in here. I do think that this race is going to be a valuable tool for him to move forward from a fitness standpoint.
One of 2 experienced runners in the race is the number 6 New York Riesling. This horse didn't do much in the career debut, but caught a wet track, has the ready-made excuse there, and is an interesting pedigree. This is a young stallion who is a pretty fast and precocious horse in his own right. And if you go back in this family, it's the family of Country Hideaway, it's the family of Sky Beauty, it's the family of Breeders' Cup winner Pleasant Home. So there is some class here.
Such a classy family that seems to produce runners every time you turn around. It's still an active family. As you mentioned, this freshman sire, a pretty quick horse himself, being a son of Speightstown. He had some yearlings at the New York bred sale last summer I got to look at who just had outstanding physicals and who were very well received for being by, what you'd consider a lesser known sire. And one of a couple in here coming out of that maiden that we mentioned, one by Andiamo a Firenze.
Conman, the number 7's by a top 2-year-old first-time starter stallion. That's Constitution. He clicks at 20% with those kind of horses. And Conman is sold for $300,000 as a yearling. This is the family of Stormbird, a European champion on the turf and an excellent sire. Of course, the sire of Stormcat. This horse has been working very quickly for Mark Casse. This is the horse I'm interested in taking a look at those clock reported information on.
Absolutely. A very solid work tab at first glance, including a bullet work at Belmont. Mark Casse and Tyler Gaffalione have had a lot of success together in recent years, and Gaffalione dominated the Churchill Downs rider standings at the recently concluded spring-summer meet. And consider that he dominated even with the track losing a couple of cards to a heat wave in Kentucky in June. He's just riding at the peak of his game right now.
The likely favorite and the horse they're all going to have to beat is up next. Let's watch Miracle Mike's career debut at Belmont. He caught a sloppy track. He caught Andiamo a Firenze. Firenze Fire's half-brother, who's going to be one of the favorites in Saturday's Sanford. And Miracle Mike got some good experience. He didn't have the speed of the winner, but he saved ground and he trudged on willingly to be second. He earned a very respectable 70 Beyer speed figure, and I'm expecting more speed with that race under his girth.
Absolutely. We always talk about horses being able to move forward from experience. We'll have to see what he does going from a wet track to hopefully a dry track on Sunday in Saratoga. Ran very willingly in that debut, and you're going to learn a little bit about him and the class of him by watching that Sanford on Saturday. So definitely, put that in your notes for this race as well.
Completing the field is the 9, Pete and Billy, the second Central Banker colt in the race. Gets Louis Sy as a very aggressive rider. Maybe this horse will show some speed. Belmont trained 2-year-olds. They often need a race or two.
They do. That's absolutely been true historically, but the Mott Barn did send out a rallying Spelterini to finish second on opening day on debut, just beaten by the previously experienced Wesley Ward filly Half a Chance. It was an interesting start to the meet for the barn in this division.
Interesting race with Miracle Mike, the horse to beat. Where are you heading?
Ultimately go to Lightman. Going to try to take a little bit of a price against Miracle Mike, although I might be eating my words after the Sanford. You're going to have to watch the board a little bit, but I think this is a place where you might get a little bit of a price on a horse who's been working very well for some good connections. I am going to use Miracle Mike and some others in behind him, though, including that Bill Mott horse to pick up a piece of it.
I agree with you that Miracle Mike is probably the horse to beat. I also agree with you that I think we can beat him with the 4 Light Man. Respect these connections, especially with young horses, and the works look good. Has some speed in the pedigree as well. Maybe we can upset the chalk with the 4 Light Man in our Sunday Spa Baby Race. Our coverage presented by Spendthrift.